Combat in Remote Realms utilizes a type interaction system that strongly rewards players for understanding the strengths, weaknesses, and special effects associated with different situations, enemies, and environments. Because every opponent, spell, attack, and piece of gear carries one or two types, the outcome of a fight depends not only on basic stats, but also on how well the player adapts to these interactions. There is no universal best way to level your character or a single best-in-slot gear setup. The optimal choice is always relative to the conditions you're preparing for. In practice, this encourages players to keep a varied gear collection and experiment with combinations across about 20 types. However, currently, many types follow simple patterns. For example, just like in a paper, rock, scissors pattern, similar relationships exist between the fire, water, and grass types. Each one has a clear advantage over another, forming a triangle of interactions. Fire beats grass, water beats fire, and grass has advantages over water. You can view your combat types by right-clicking the helmet icon. Additionally, detailed information about the damage you receive, its type, and effectiveness appears above the chat. Each interaction with an opponent is shown as a row. The right side always represents the defender, while the left represents the attacker. The majority-minority symbols indicate how effective you are in combat. More symbols mean stronger or weaker interactions. In this example, we are fighting while using grass-type gear, which is effective against water-type frogs. This setup also doesn't give us any penalties to magic defense like metal armor would. Combat typing also affects your companions. This becomes noticeable early on during the fight with Dr. Bug. Although he has 3 creatures around level 20, a player relying on their first tamed companion, a wolf, may struggle here. In this case, it's recommended to level your wolf up to around level 40, stock up on food supplies, or equip your companion with armor before attempting the fight. The wiki provides detailed information about every enemy in the game. In this case, we're looking at level 22 mountain scorpions that live north of Immerberry. The first 2 rows on the wiki page indicate which types are recommended when available, while the next 2 rows show which types should be avoided. For this encounter, oceanic armor or botanic armor are effective choices, granting water or grass types respectively. Other scorpions belonging to the bug type, however, are extremely vulnerable to fire and flying. It's not always possible to obtain the best possible combat typing. For wolves, dark type, or zombies or skeletons, normal type, there is no need to be more effective in attack. However, the metal type, and therefore metal armor, still provides very strong defensive properties. Metal armor is also easy to upgrade by progressing through bronze, iron, steel, and mithril variants. Equipping a charge amulet, which works only with metal type, grants excellent additional bonuses. Another practical upgrade is using grass type equipment to add lifesteal to your build, allowing you to use less food or even none at all. Types in Remote Realms also come with special effects, which can be incorporated into your builds and strategies. Examples. Most areas of the Aljar Desert outside the city of Al-Aljar are dangerous to enter without proper preparation. To avoid the deadly heat, wear protective clothing or rely on water, ground, rock, or fire-type gear, which prevents heat damage. If you plan to mine stone, an oceanic pickaxe is especially useful. Another option is to wear oceanic armor and bring any pickaxe. In the same way, players may use volcanic armor instead of warm clothing to obtain a double fire typing. Megazards are powerful ranged and magic-based enemies. They often appear in multi-combat zones in large groups and will immediately attack the player if the player's type is grass. Therefore, we want our primary combat type to be grass. Otherwise, Ivyzards and Megazards will start attacking us while flying. Grass type also helps to avoid vines. For your secondary type, aim for fire, flying, or poison to improve your damage output. It's also highly recommended to use a leaf cape and ring of life, which both provide strong lifesteal. The remaining gear slots should focus on magic defense and range defense. Final typing can change under various conditions.
All flying creatures, as well as players riding flying mounts, gain the flying type. This can be useful for fighting-type enemies like bears, though it comes with a drawback. Your companion will not join you in combat while you are airborne. The type can also be changed by boats to wood or swimming on Taragua to rock. Drinking beer temporarily alters your type. At the moment, different beers transform your type into flying, dragon, or dark. The last one is especially useful as it provides extra damage against ghosts. Combat typing also has other aspects. Some types have negative synergies like water and fire. The Ring of Sea can override the current attack with a water-type one. Some opponents will use different sets of attacks or gear to be more effective. For example, Magnetodos will not use charge attacks if the player's type is ground. Combat typing works slightly differently for melee compared to ranged and magic combat. Defensively, all three styles follow the same rules. Your final defensive type is determined entirely by the weighted gear system, which we will discuss later. Offensively, however, the following differences apply. Melee. Offensive and defensive types both come directly from the gear you are wearing. Ranged, the primary offensive type is determined by the arrow type, while the secondary type is the strongest type determined by your equipment. Magic, the offensive type matches the type of the spell. If one of your defensive types is the same as a spell type, its max hit will be higher. It's also worth noting that enemies may have different attack sets with varying types. Let's look at a few examples. Green dragons are dragon-flying enemies capable of dealing massive damage. However, knowing how to approach them allows us to choose the right tactics. Their attacks include default melee attack, dragon flying, dragon breath, dragon-type close combat attack, ember, fire-type magic attack with low damage. First and foremost, we want to avoid all close range attacks, as they deal the most damage. Magic and ranged builds are both effective and enjoyable here. Offensive types should be dragon or ice, while defensively, gear with resistance to fire and burn, dragon, water, fire, is recommended. Being near an altar that can be built via masonry is very helpful, as we will be using prayer. For ranged builds, Dragonhide armor set again is a good choice, provides us high magic defense and dragon type. Offensively, your type will be metal dragon since steel arrows alter your type, but you remain effective. Defensively, aim for dragon or dragon water, which should make you very tanky. Melee class has some disadvantages here, but a player using any spear, ideally mithril one, can attack from 2 tiles away, staying just out of reach of the dragon's most dangerous attacks. It's important to achieve double dragon typing, which provides the best offensive and defensive properties. Mages can confidently use the Ice Beam spell, while Water Staff combined with Ring of the Sea grants double water typing. Ember is not particularly dangerous, but your set can be upgraded for better defense. Against the Ice Troll King, the types we want to obtain include fire, metal, and fighting. Ranged characters can use fire arrows, metal arrows, or bolts, and set the rest of their gear so that their primary type becomes fire. With these setups, the final offensive type will be metal fire or fire. Since this boss is typically fought using ranged prayer to avoid most incoming damage, the second defensive type matters less. Melee characters can use double fire typing by equipping volcanic armor, stacking additional offensive modifiers along the way. Magic characters may rely on Fire Blast or Aura Sphere. Adding a frozen arrow works extremely well, as it grants an ice type which provides resistance to the boss's freezing attacks. This allows you to synchronize the use of your burst bar with your companion. Each piece of equipment contributes differently to your final combat typing. Body and weapon slots have a much stronger impact than items like a cape or arrows. All slot weights are shown in the table. Some types, such as metal or normal, apply with reduced strength, while inert has no effect at all.
Hippo Gear Manager, a tool created by players, will help you create builds and view item weights. Let's assume we want to create a build designed to fight fire-type melee enemies. A natural choice here is oceanic armor, or water-type gear in general. As you equip items, you'll notice that once the total weight passes 3.0, your secondary type also becomes water. This setup is strong not only because of the typing, but also thanks to the stacking water defense bonus.
However, our weapon will start to fall behind when fighting stronger enemies. For this reason, we begin by replacing Oceanic Scimitar with Palatine Sword. While this increases our damage, it also changes our combat typing to Water Serene, because the Serene type weight exceeded the 1.5 threshold. At this point, we can override the unwanted typing by equipping gear that adds a different type. I've chosen Ground since it remains effective against fire. We add Tectonic Boots and Insulating Gloves, both easy to obtain. Next, add Leaf Cape and Ring of Life to add lifesteal to the build. Our melee defense drops as a result, but we can adjust other pieces of gear to compensate. This can be done with easily accessible items like Volcanic Plate Body, or with boss drops such as Tectonic Plate Legs or Sea Helmet.